The Elder Scrolls. Just thinking about it brings me back to my younger days as a skinny nerd. I remember the first time I played Morrowind, though I didn't understand the game as well at the time, or did I even realize it's the third in the series. It wasn't until much later and I had been playing Oblivion that I realized there were two whole other games. So, where do the Elder Scrolls begin? The Elder Scrolls Arena is an open-world action role-playing game heavily based on tabletop RPGs such as Dungeons & Dragons and influenced heavily by Looking Glass Studios' Ultima Underworld series. Arena was developed and published by Bethesda Softworks, which had just come off the success of Terminator 2029. Arena is the first game in the Elder Scrolls series. It was released on CD-ROM and 3.5 floppy disk. Yes, that's right, a floppy disk, on March 25th, 1994. That makes this game 19 days older than I am, and with our 28th birthdays right around the corner, what better time than now to make this video. Initially, Arena was not meant to be an RPG at all. The player and a team of their fighters would travel around the world with other teams and battle them in their arenas until the player became the grand champion in the capital, the Imperial City. Along the way, side quests of more role-playing oriented could be completed. These side quests were supposed to be just filler, a way for characters to get some extra gold and to help outfit you and your team. As the game went into development, they realized that people were enjoying the side quests more than the arena combat itself. The tournaments became less important and the side quests more so. Role-playing elements were added into the game, and the game expanded to include cities outside arenas and dungeons beyond the cities. Eventually, they decided to just drop the whole tournament idea and focus on quests and dungeons, going from an RPG-like game to a full-on role-playing game.
Because we thought it was going to be primarily an arena combat action game.
Yeah.
That was not the focus. The focus was not the role-playing aspects.
No,
we always said
you added loads of roleplay aspects to it. Like, what was the inspiration for that?
Well, we always said that the way that the game flow of the game was going to work is that you were mostly running around these arenas fighting.
Yes.
But you needed to have some gold to outfit your guys and improve your characters. So on the side, you would do quests for kings and queens of Tamriel. And those, when it turns out the gameplay of running around in these arenas fighting was not that great, then we said, but people actually seem to like the role-playing aspects of it and doing these quests, then we just changed the focus and said, okay, it's not a role-playing light game, it's kind of role-playing heavy. And
so with that, hello there my angels. Today we are going on an adventure together on the beginning of the largest project that I have taken on to date. Today we'll be talking about the first of a much beloved series, The Elder Scrolls Arena. The game opens with a brief history on the Empire, explaining that the continent of Tamriel was war-torn until Tiber Septim took control. It also a clever way for the developers to explain away the name Arena as a nickname for the lands because of all the war and death. Here we are at the main screen. After clicking on New Game, we are put into another cutscene explaining the current Emperor has been tricked and overthrown by the Imperial battle mage Jaeger Thorn. Rhea, Tharn's apprentice, tries to warn the council and is captured before she can. With that, we are led into class selection. You can answer a few questions where the game will suggest a class for you, or you can choose one of the 18 classes there are. Broken into 3 main RPG archetypes: warriors, mages, and thieves. After naming ourselves, we select where we hail. This will be your race and your starting location. It feels like a good time to mention how the stats work in the game. Much like Dungeons & Dragons, all your stats are rolled or generated and are preset with race and gender adjustments you've already made. You get a racial base and gender modifier, plus a d20, plus 1 for each attribute. Yes, there are gender modifiers. Most female characters will have something like a minus to strength, but a boost to agility or intelligence. The generated stats apply to your health, which the formula will be changed depending on what class you have selected, ranging from a 25 plus a 1d6, the lowest, as a mage, or a 25 plus a 1d30, a barbarian. Rerolling is also an option if you feel like your stats are trash, and that way you aren't stuck with them. I actually like this system, and I wish more games had it. The idea that something in life are out of your control, and it just makes it for a better backstory. You know, why is your strength so high but your intelligence so low? Well, your character's a big dumb barbarian. It also takes me back to when I first rolled up my first D&D character. There's something exciting about not having complete control and leaving it up to the dice. For this playthrough though, I made a Nord Knight, which in hindsight wasn't the best idea. I think this was a mistake just because it will limit me from casting spells. Knights aren't allowed to cast spells, but I wanted to be able to wear heavy armor and have a high HP, but I can only do melee combat. After you iron out your class and your personal features, we have another cutscene. Rhea has come to us in a dream and explained that we are the last hope to stop the battle mage Tharn, and we must find the shattered staff. She tells us where to find the key to our freedom from our cell and out of the prison. She also tells us that she is dead and it's only her power that keeps her in between the two worlds of the living and the dead. She also tells us that she can only visit us in our dreams, so it's important to sleep. While we wake up inside the Imperial prison with nothing more than your fists and the knowledge of how to escape. This brings me to the first on-screen description of the area, another very D&D-esque thing that has been put into the game, which they are often helpful. As I look around the room, I do find the key that Rhea has mentioned and unlock my cell, which I promptly escape and head west, and I'm immediately killed by a goblin. Yep, and that's just the start of this bullshit. I'm going to say this one time. This game made me miss autosaves. I ended up making a few characters until I figured out that the game doesn't actually save after character creation. It just deletes your character when you die. Well, I mean, you died, so... which is frustrating at first because the movement and combat of the arena are unique. I started this game with very little knowledge of how it worked, and I was gravely punished for my ignorance. The way movement works is you use your mouse, and you go to the edge of the screen in the direction you'd like to move. You click and hold the left mouse button. To attack, you click and hold the right mouse button and move in the direction you want to attack. Left to right, right to left, up and down, even from corner to corner. We'll do a corresponding sweep with your weapon. After a while, I also realized that I could just use the arrow keys, which made my life easier in the movement aspects. So some people think that moving the mouse all over the place is the best way for combat. It's not. There is a method to it, and it's all has to do with numbers. A diagonal slash from left to right or right to left will give you a -5 chance to hit the opponent, but a +2 to weapon damage. A horizontal cut will do normal damage and a normal percentage chance to hit your opponent. A vertical chop will have a 10% less chance to hit an opponent, but a +4 to weapon damage. And a thrust will give you a +10% chance to hit an opponent, but a -4 to damage. Every movement has a purpose. While fighting my way through the prison, I found piles of weapons and armor. There is an on-screen prompt that I find in the prison that points out a nook and how mice and other monsters can't smell you while in them. I played the whole damn game without knowing this, and I find it important because often people reviewing this game, like myself, didn't read this text and complain about being attacked all the time. After getting mauled by rodents and goblins, I finally find the portal that Rhea mentioned. Which brings up something else that I loved about this game. The anti-pirating system that they used. So to exit the portal of the first dungeon, you have to answer a question from the handbook that would have come with the game. And I feel like that I need to mention, this game came out long before the internet was so prevalent in everybody's life. So it's a nice touch and kind of a reminder of the times that it's from. This dungeon was a grind for me. I died a lot. I had to make a lot of new characters, but I learned a lot. And honestly, this made me more excited for the game. Almost like a Souls game of its time, it was unforgiving, and the learning curve was there. But when I did get out, and I did kill things, and I felt accomplished, I was hooked. After exiting the dungeon, I found myself home in Skyrim. While looking for the local inn to rest in, I was attacked. and murdered. Again. So, I actually have a note here that says, night encounters in town are bullshit, which at a low level, I stand by this. So, something at night, if you're not in a tavern, you have a chance of having a random monster encounter. Anything from a goblins to rats to in the city streets to street thieves or a goddamn minotaur swinging for your head. Why are there minotaurs inside the goddamn city gates that are like 8 blocks high? I don't...
Why are there minotaurs inside the city gates?
The world may never know.
After a few minutes of aimlessly running around town, I find an inn and I'm able to rest my head. I buy a room, I talk to locals, and I look for Fang Lair, where Rhea said the first part of the staff will be after I had rested. I head to a local blacksmith and I outfit myself, and I sell what little I found inside the prison. And this is where something begins to click from when I first played Dungeons & Dragons. Nowadays, people are always looking for plus signs to raise armor, which is how I started the game. In 1st and 2nd edition D&D, your AC or your armor class was supposed to be as low as it can be. As simple as I can think is that they were rolling a number to add to your AC, and if the two numbers were over 0, they hit, and then they would roll for damage. It makes sense, I promise. So here I am, Archie the Knight, in plate armor, a tower shield, and ready to go out into the world. I'd like to say at this point that my playthrough, I got very lucky. I had many magical items and to start, and it gave me a lot of gold to play with. And I didn't even realize it at the time. Loot is all random, and when you find it on the ground, it switches every time you enter a dungeon. So every playthrough can be different. Along with buying an ebony mace at level 4, look at this graph. An ebony is the highest tier you can get with a +5 to hit and a +5 damage. A mace damage is between 1 and 12. That makes this mace a 16 to 18 or 6 to 18 at level 4. Yeah, I spent all of my gold on it. Sorry, I got off track. So, I ask around a bit and find out where I need to head to is Hammerfell. I go and I talk to the ruler of Rahid, Queen Blumaka. Don't think I'm saying that right. She says she'll help me, but first she has a problem of her own. A goblin has stolen a parchment from her and she wants us to get it back. As the honorable knight that I am, I agree and head out to Stone Keep for my first real test as an adventurer. Before I go, I head to the Mages Guild, pick up a few potions of cure, and this is the first time I realize there is a detect magic here. I'll have to remember that. This is also a good place to point out I didn't use potions for a long while and simply camped to heal. But when you camp in a dungeon, you can trigger a random monster encounter. Once again, this is frustrating. Remember earlier when I said the prison points out the cubbies to hide in? The rest? Yeah, never did that because I didn't read it. In a game with all text-based, well, everything. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I work my way through the dungeon crawl. Like normal, I believe that this is the first time in the game makes you jump, which feels odd because it's J for jump, while I'm using the arrow keys. This just feels awkward, trying to juggle arrow keys, clicking J on the keyboard, and moving my head around with the mouse just becomes tedious, so I don't jump much during this playthrough. This dungeon also has some monsters that show they have resistances to some weapons, like skeletons take half damage to all sharp-edged weapons. Lucky for me, we have good old Bianca to turn their bones to dust. Anyway, I crawl through the dungeon, I find the parchment, I get out, I return to speak to the Queen Balamakaka. I think I'm just spelling it wrong here now. And she marks Fang Lair down. For me, an old dwarven home. After finishing Fang Lair, we retrieve the staff, and I visit again with a tip to go to the Labyrinth of Skyrim. Here we go. After getting the Winter's Hold, I am talking to the Mages Guild, who also have a problem of their own, and need me to take care of it. We are asked to go to the Fortress of Ice to recover a magical tablet. In a classic Elder Scrolls fashion, fast travel is very prominent in this game. Unlike some of the games where like Morrowind or Skyrim and you're encouraged to walk, I feel I need to remind people that this is the entire continent of Tamriel we are traveling. And you can feel the size when you walk outside a city wall. I tried it. Once, I really did. After walking for about 20 minutes, I just fast traveled. There's so much out there to explore though, but someone who's been spoiled with mini-maps and tracking systems, waypoints. If I were playing in the 90s, I probably would have spent more time walking around the towns, finding these extra dungeons that are laid out there for you to find, but for today, I mean, we're spoiled. That's all I have to say on that. For the storyline itself, it's just repeated. The quid pro quo, you go here, you get this, you go and get the location of a staff piece, and you continue all the way to the end. So we're going to focus on some other things. For example, the monsters. There are 24 variations of monsters in the world, and then there are human enemies that come from any of the classes that you could choose from, and which are 18 more enemy types for a total of 42. The game utilizes them all, and in a way that is done well in my opinion. Normal dungeons or sewers will have things like rats, zombies, goblins, spiders, and skeletons. When you enter a keep or an old castle, you could be fighting knights or monks. Lava levels have fire demons and hellhounds. Ice demons have ice golems and frost wolves. At one point in time, I was doing a side quest and was being hunted by the Dark Brotherhood, who wanted to stop me, and the longer it took me, the bigger of enemy they sent after me, starting with Nightblades and Assassins, then Skeletons, and then they sent a Wraith and a Vampire after me. I actually broke this quest, and I was just being attacked every time I rested outside of a town. Until I fast traveled once and I got a notice that told me some knights stop you on the road, the king is impatient to get the letter, they take it from you and deliver it themselves. I actually love this encounter just because it showed that even if I'm not keeping track of my side quests, the game is. But I digress. They start you with rats, goblins, orcs, and work you up with things like stone golems, iron golems, and liches, pretty much all that you fight in the last few levels. The game is good about giving you enemies that you should be able to handle, but will absolutely kill you if you let them. Just like in D&D. Your DM is supposed to challenge you, and sometimes you die. That's the game. Getting tired of me comparing this to Dungeons and Dragons yet? Yes, this game has goddamn holidays. Remember when Oblivion devs promised us that? No? Well, here's a clip.
So we already have plans to do downloadable content on a regular basis, once a month, a couple times a month, with different levels of stuff. So some of it all, which is holidays. So different towns in the game will have different holidays at different times of year, and you can go there and get perk bonuses. You can get special.
Yep. Well, Arena delivers on it, and not just one or two, 16. 16 holidays. The United States only has 11 federal holidays. Each holiday has its own different sale on goods. New Life Festival, free ale at taverns. The Day of the South Wind Blows will have temples giving away free healing. Hearts Day will have all taverns offering free rooms. The First Planting will have temples giving away free cures. The Warriors Festival will have merchants cut their prices in half. I like this for a few reasons. One, makes you feel, makes when you're traveling and how you're traveling more important. If you plan around the holidays, you can make your life so much easier when it comes to end game gear. 2, makes the world just feel lived in. There's holidays, people are celebrating things. And 3, it makes you care about what day it is in the game. In my Skyrim playthrough, I've spent so much time just standing in one spot and having nothing to do, or just waiting for time to pass, or just sleeping. And you can sleep or wait and it doesn't harm the game. You can wait forever in Skyrim and the game wouldn't even notice. Nor would I, because the days mean nothing. But in Arena, at least the calendar has a purpose. Magic, in my opinion, is both a pain and fun at the exact same time. The spellcrafter is open to you as soon as you get out of the prison, and mixing and matching effects is fun, and it's simple. Select an area of effect, either an AoE, a target, or yourself, the type of elemental damage you'd want to do, like poison or fire or ice, and you can choose up to 3 effects onto one spell. Makes it more expensive. Wish they had done an enchanting system like this for this game, along with the same guidelines for non-magic users. With that being said, low-level spell casting is just damn near impossible. I spent some time as a battle mage just to try it out, and I spent more time swinging my sword than I did spell casting. The casting pool at a low level allowed me to cast 1 offensive spell a short rest. A battle mage gets to cast offensive spells at 50% reduced mana cost, and just made getting out of the prison harder than I thought it would be. So for pickpocketing, lockpicking, murder, anything else along those lines that would be thief oriented, I didn't spend much time doing it. The game doesn't have a sneak mechanic at all, and pickpocketing people or picking locks is mostly you just go up and you click a button. There's no minigame, nothing super exciting about it, and it's internal numbers that are generated against your agility and your luck against the toughness of the lock or the pickpocketing. I didn't have to worry about this too much because the game allows you to bash open most doors and bash open chests, which I kind of wish that the older games would implement as well. Games like Knights of the Old Republic allowed you to smash open some things along with chests and doors, and at the cost of breaking things inside the chests, which in the player handbook of Arena, it does state that you have a chance of breaking things inside the chests. Along with that, murder. Murder is reacted to the exact way you think it will. Guards come, guards try to kill you. No bail, no jail time, it's kill or be killed. So now that we are at the end of this video, it seems like the wrong place to talk about the story, but I feel like the story is simple, and it's simple almost to a fault. There are 8 parts of the staff. You go get them, and every time you go to a new place where a staff should be, a king or queen has this other task for you to do before they give you the location of the part of the staff you need. So 8 dungeons became 16, and after you remake the staff, you just go to the palace, you kill Tharn, you save the king, and you're named the Eternal Champion. That's the story in a nutshell. That's the story, but it's not the whole game. The game really wasn't about the story, it was about exploring, and I feel like I was rushing myself to meet this deadline for the video and didn't explore properly, or immerse myself into the RPG aspect like I should have. There are many side quests that will pop up only when you talk to people, and some of these are artifact quests, which you can go on and retrieve things like ebony mail, which we have had in almost every game. I put hours into this game, and there's still so much I haven't done. The special quests for the lost artifacts, there's a whole world to explore. The map is huge. You can go out and wander around, find random dungeons, kill innocent people, be an artifact hunter. I broke the game a few times. Once I even got stuck on one of the dungeons and I'd reload an old save because I didn't realize that stamina was a resource that I had to pay attention to while swimming. Always have a few stam potions on you just in case. I could go over graphics, but I mean it's a mid-90s game and it looks like it. Could go over dungeon design, but they were big, multi-leveled, and without the wiki you could spend 5 times as much time in this game than I did. I could tell you that the game is the best, but I'd be lying. But that's kind of the charm of the game. Yeah, it's janky. Yeah, the movement and combat are a pain to use, sure. Popping 50 health pots is a pain because you're a knight and didn't spec for magic damage. Yeah, it's annoying, of course. But every time I died, I learned. And I adjusted. Every time I beat a big boss, I felt like I had beaten the main boss of Elden Ring without having to do any jumping rolls. And when those bosses became more common, I knew I could beat them, and the dungeons did become grindy, and I ended up looking up most of the ways out on Wiki. Who wouldn't? I really had the most fun going out and grinding the levels and getting the new gear, which I really had some good gear by level 15 and decided to just beat the story. But now the story of the Battle Mage and the Emperor is done, and the true story of the Eternal Champion begins, as it is written in the Elder Scrolls. Hey there, my angels. This is the biggest project that I've taken on. The whole thing took me about a month to put together, which was way longer than I wanted it to take, and it's just because the game crashed a lot. I died a lot because, well, the game's hard, and yeah, but this was actually a lot of fun. The game was kind of a grind, and but it was enjoyable. So I appreciate everybody that has stuck around to this point of the video. You guys are who I make these videos for. This is the first time I'm making a video like this, so if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody that helped support me through this. And you guys know you are the people that I talked about this, you know, going into it, and the ones that said, you know, go for it. With that, guys, I appreciate you all, and I'll catch you next one. Oh, and always remember to stretch those wings. They'll take you somewhere someday. Kisses.
Dang, that's dangerous.